Hello, and welcome to this Foster Care Institute online training webinar. Caseworkers and foster parents working together. This is the caseworker version, and I am your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, the founder and director of the Foster Care Institute, as well as an author of several foster care books, a consultant to foster care agencies and legal firms across the nation and globe, and a speaker and trainer. I am also the biological, adoptive, and foster parent to many, many children, and I've had the wonderful opportunity to work with a great number of caseworkers. Indeed, some caseworkers have become very good friends of mine. Our goal during this online training webinar is to help caseworkers and foster parents work together for the benefit of the child. Participants will increase their awareness of some of the views and opinions of today's foster parents and gain an understanding of how to develop and implement strategies designed to aid foster parents. And our key objective here is we hope that you have the opportunity through discussion and collaborative exercises with other caseworkers, as well as foster parents in your area, to share and reflect on your practice and to learn from others. Indeed, we hope this is a webinar that you are able to share with others and learn along with others. Now, what do today's foster parents think? Well, recently, the Foster Care Institute conducted a survey of 5,000 foster parents across the nation. We wanted to examine why foster parents were leaving. Why was there an issue of retention with foster parents across the nation? This extensive study found that many foster parents, indeed the vast majority of the 5,000, felt they did not have the necessary and honest information by their caseworkers needed to properly care for the child placed in their home. Foster parents also indicated on this survey that they felt there was a lack of consistency with a caseworker, the same caseworker, and this was a problem for foster parents. Many foster parents on this survey indicated they did not feel appreciated or did not feel respected by their caseworker as well. Finally, during this long, extensive survey conducted by the Foster Care Institute, foster parents felt the lack of respite care or time off with a respite care program was also a large concern of theirs. Now let's look at what some foster parents said during this survey. We're going to examine some of the statements that they made that reflect upon what so many others felt in this study. We're just going to pull a few statements out that in fact reflect upon what many said. One participant indicated that they needed more training in grief. This is so hard, this participated indicated. Another stated, the hardest part of being a foster parent for me is when my kiddos leave my house. One participant noted, I wish my caseworker would understand that my heart literally breaks in half when the kiddos leave my home. One stated they needed more training in grief and loss. Another stated we learned the hard way how to take care of ourselves. One said more information on grief and loss after a child has left the foster parent's home. One participant on this survey conducted by the Foster Care Institute stated, "The problems I'm having are that my child's caseworkers rarely answer my emails or voicemails. They expect me to be able to drop everything at a moment's notice for them. And when the last child was moved from my home to be with family, I was given 24 hours to get his things packed." One said, "I also feel that it takes too long to receive feedback from the people in charge." Another said, "Taking the time our family needs to grieve when our kiddos go home. Sometimes it feels hard to step back into the chaos after a break." One participant noted, more support and help in a timely manner when we needed to have a child removed and placed elsewhere." And the last three we have here. One said, caseworkers following up on things and answering their phone. One indicated, the workers didn't offer any help, and the only reason the kids left is because we were burned out and requested removal because we couldn't handle 5 mentally challenged kids, plus raise our toddler and still be functional. It was horrible. And finally, one said, more support from caseworkers. Now, there were well over 1,000 responses. We just took a few here for you to see. And again, these few statements reflect what so many others were saying. So many times, foster parents feel like the bad guy. Everyone seems to be mad at them. Caseworkers seem to be mad at them. Biological parents, the child, perhaps their own friends or family members. But guess what? So do you. As a caseworker, many times you feel like the bad guy as well. You feel as if the foster parents may be upset with you. Perhaps the biological parents or the children, the court, whatever it may be. Today's foster parents, as we see in this survey, they feel tired. They feel grieving. They feel burned out. So, how do we help? How do we help those foster parents who are struggling with feelings of grief and loss, who are struggling with the need to have some type of support, who are struggling when they're feeling exhausted and worn down, who are struggling to simply have somebody acknowledge that they are struggling? It is important for foster parents and caseworkers to form a partnership. A partnership when two or more people are working together for a common goal. But what is that common goal when it comes to foster parenting and foster care? The goal, quite simply, children and families in need. Foster parents and caseworkers need to work together to support attachment children have with their families, to help maintain the relationships between the child and the biological family members. Caseworkers and foster parents need to work together to help ease a child's concerns and anxieties during a time of transition. And we have seen in the Foster Care Institute on one of our other training webinars that when a child is placed into foster care, is placed into a foster care setting, a foster home with foster parents, that is a time of great anxiety. That is a time of tremendous concern. That is a time, quite simply, of fear. Now, perhaps the single most important factor in creating a healthy, working relationship is that of trust. The foster parent needs to be able to trust you, needs to feel that they can trust you as a caseworker. That trust is essential. Yet we all know, that trust takes time. Trust takes time to establish. Trust takes time to form. Trust takes time. It also takes effort. You have to work to gain somebody's trust in you. You have to show them through a pattern of your efforts and through time that the foster parent feels they can trust you when they have a problem, when they have a concern. Perhaps they are concerned about working with a biological family, the birth parents, if you will. Who can they trust to? Who can they turn to for trust? They should be able to turn to the caseworker. Perhaps the foster parent's feeling just burned out. They can't go another day. They need to feel they can go to you as a caseworker and let you know that without being criticized, without feeling bad about it, without feeling concerned that the caseworker might ignore their concerns, without being ridiculed. Maybe the foster parent needs some time for respite. Who can they go to if they cannot find a respite care? They trust you to help them find somebody. Again, this takes time and this takes effort. Now, as a foster parent myself for 15 years, with over 55 kids in my home, I have enjoyed the opportunity to form this trusting relationship with these caseworkers, because I do know that if I were to pick up a phone and let the caseworker know that I'm struggling in some area, that they're going to understand and they're going to respond in a positive and healthy fashion. But again, it takes time to form that trusting relationship. The working relationship. That working relationship is essential for foster parents. Otherwise, they will leave. Again, the study the Foster Care Institute was on retention of foster parents. Why are foster parents leaving after about a year and a half on average? And many of them stated they were not getting the support they needed. And they need that from you as a caseworker. They need you to be positive. We all know the power of a positive mindset and the power of a smile go a long way. When that foster parent feels they cannot do it any longer, they need you to be positive. When they are feeling down in the dumps, so to speak, frustrated, concerned, angry, disappointed, dejected, depressed, they need you with a positive mindset and a smile to help them continue. Foster parents need you to teach them the differences in values when it comes to children. When a child is placed into a foster parent's home, many times these children are coming with different values. They need someone to help them learn about that. And they need you as a caseworker. We need to know each other's roles. As a foster parent, as a caseworker, it is important that each person knows their role, that these roles need to be clear so there's no confusion on who is to do what. Who is to call the doctor for an appointment? Who is to set a time for a visitation? Who is to get a driver to go to a court hearing or a visitation a long ways off? who is to take a child to a therapist. These roles need to be clearly defined so they're not neglected or not repeated. So, as a caseworker, you need to help establish guidelines and roles with the foster parent and let the foster parent know this is my role and this is what I will be doing as a caseworker and this is what is expected of me and this is what is expected of you as a foster parent. This is what your role is. This is what you are to do as a foster parent. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, the caseworker. Now, more than anything, the foster parent wants to hear from you. Foster parents tell me time and time again they don't hear from their caseworker. There is no two-way dialogue going on, no conversation. When they leave a message on the caseworker's phone, they feel so many times they're not getting a response, or they're never able to talk to a living human being. I hear this time and time again. They just get an answering machine, or not. Sometimes not even that. They send emails out and they don't get a response. They need to hear from you. Communication is a two-way street. It is the exchange of ideas, thoughts, and information. As a caseworker, not only do you need to exchange those ideas, thoughts, and information, not only do you have to engage in communication, you need to be an active listener. Because when that foster parent comes to you and has those gripes, those complaints, they're venting, so to speak. Sometimes you just need to be that person who is not going to criticize them, just to listen. Listen to their concerns. Listen to their worries. Listen to their fears. Perhaps they have a fear that the child may be removed and placed into a home that is not in their best interest. Perhaps they have the concern about working with a biological parent. Perhaps they have concern that the child is over-medicated or under-medicated. Whatever the concerns might be, it is important as a caseworker that you set aside some time and just listen. Just listen to them. We've heard the phrase, sharing is caring. The more information you share with a foster parent, the more trust is built and the stronger that relationship becomes. You see, foster parents want to hear from you, the caseworker. They want to know how the latest visitation went. How are the birth parents doing on their case plan? Are the birth parents, are they close to reunification? How did the court trial go? They need to hear this information from you. The better informed they are, the better prepared they are to help the children. So give them as much information as you possibly can. And when you do that, trust is built, and the relationship between the caseworker and the foster parent becomes stronger. On a personal note, as a foster parent, I always wanted to hear how everything was going in regards to the child living in my home. It was important to me because the more knowledge I had, the better equipped I was to help that child, to care for that child, to provide for that child, and to help my family as well. At the same time, you need to encourage foster parents to share all information with you. You need to let them know it is important that they tell you how the child is doing in school, at home, at therapy sessions, how the child is doing when the child comes home from a visitation. If a child should become hurt or injured or sick, remind the foster parent they need to let you know. If a child gets in trouble at school, Remind the foster parent, hey, let you know. If you've seen our training webinar on documentation, then you know that there are three words important for foster parents: documentation, documentation, and of course, documentation. Remind foster parents the importance of documentation. And if you're unfamiliar with that, I encourage you to watch the online training webinar on documentation. Again, many foster parents are not aware of this importance, of the importance of documenting everything that comes along with a child. Of course, part of communication is ensuring that you have all the current contact information and that the foster parent has your information as well. You should trade, if you will, emails between foster parents and caseworkers, your work email, your home email, as well as phone numbers for work and home. And you need to ensure that you have the foster parents' emails for work and home and their phone numbers as well. Because we know as caseworkers, your hours are not 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. There may be something coming up in the middle of the night that you need to contact the birth parent, or, the foster parent, or the foster parent needs to contact you. So it is essential that each of you has current contact information for both of you. Many foster parents state they do not have enough information, enough training, enough resources. You need to share resources for them on an ongoing basis. Encourage foster parents when they're struggling with certain issues. When the child comes into their house with lice, how do you handle that? The child's having anger issues, anger management issues, how do you handle that? The child is stealing or lying or biting, how do you handle that? How do you handle issues with your marriage? So many questions foster parents struggle with each day. Encourage them to look at online training webinars. Consider having your own book library at your agency where foster parents can come and check out a book about foster parenting. Find interesting podcasts about foster care and encourage foster parents to listen to these or suggest some of them. If you know of videos about foster parenting, point your foster parents in that direction to watch them. And always feed foster parents informational packets about the latest in foster care resources. Work with foster parents on understanding cultural differences of race, of gender, a child's history, their political beliefs, their religious beliefs, appearance that they may differ with, the norm, sexual orientation. These are issues that you need to remind foster parents about and to work alongside with them in understanding some of the differences that a child may have coming to live the foster home. Some of the most popular training seminars foster parents across the nation request at the Foster Care Institute are grief and loss, online technology, working with birth parents and working with biological children, marriage and foster parenting, and challenges in school. These are questions that today's foster parents want to know more about. They want to know more about how to help their own biological children when being foster parents. They want to know more about the dangers of social media and online technology. They want to know more about how to help their marriage or how to help the children in school who are struggling, how to help themselves when they're struggling with grief and loss. They need to know how to work with birth parents. So provide these opportunities, these learning opportunities, these training sessions or seminars, if you will, for your foster parents. Again, knowledge is power. And the more knowledge a foster parent has about these issues, the better equipped they are to care for the child placed in their home. To be sure, sometimes foster parents can't do it all by themselves. They may feel they can, but we know that's not the point. Provide therapy and counseling sessions for foster parents when necessary. These therapy and counseling sessions provide professional insight and help that they may be struggling with. Encourage them or give them opportunities for individual or family counseling sessions in times of need, perhaps in times of burnout or compassion fatigue or grief and loss, or perhaps even the death of a child placed in their home. What the members of the foster care institute hear often is that foster parents are not allowed the opportunity to have some type of therapy or counseling session when they are in need. Help them. Help them find those opportunities and help provide those opportunities for them. So many foster parents do not understand what respite care is. They don't understand that there is such a thing as respite care or aware of it, or they may feel guilty requesting respite care when they are in need. To be sure, foster parenting is a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365-day job a year when a child is placed into a home. And foster parents do need a break from time to time. If not, they will become burned out. Help them by encouraging them to find respite care. Encourage them to use respite care from time to time, and help them find respite care when they are in need or when you recognize that they might be in need of having a little time for themselves, a little time for their marriage, a little time with their own biological children. You see, foster parents want to know. They want and need to know what is going on, as we noted earlier. So share updates with them on visitations, on court, on how the birth parents are doing. They need to know what's going on and invite them, give them the opportunity, if permissible in your area, for them to go to court. Many foster parents want to go to court to be alongside the child because that can be a very difficult environment, a very difficult time for the child, particularly for young children. Now, we all know that children in foster care will struggle in school. Generally, a child is a year and a half behind academically in school. Children in foster care struggle in reading and math. And 55% will drop out of school by the time they age out of the system. They need help. These children need help, and they need help from you. The child needs help from the foster parents, the caseworkers, and the teachers to all come together to fight for them. And we have an online training webinar about this very topic. In fact, we have two, and we also have a book, Helping Foster Children in School. But it is you as a caseworker, it is up to you to help the child in school as well. Do not leave it all upon the foster parent, because the foster parent may not know what to do. So if possible, try to stay in regular contact with the teacher. Let the teacher know that they can contact you, the caseworker, if there's a problem as well. See, the teacher should be able to contact the foster parent and the caseworker if necessary. And if you are allowed to, if you have the opportunity to do so, provide some educational or emotional background information to those teachers and deliver information to the school counselor and administrators about learning disabilities a child might have, or discipline or behavior issues a child might have. Again, this could be done by you as well as the foster parent. You need to work together as a team in order for the child to succeed in school. A foster parent needs you, the caseworker, to be their advocate. So many foster parents feel isolated. So many foster parents feel no one understands them. So many foster parents feel they do not have anybody to turn to because, quite frankly, their friends do not understand what they're doing. Their family members do not truly understand or appreciate what they're doing. They need you to be their advocate. Show them that you appreciate them. One of the greatest things my caseworker has done for me in the past was when a child was removed from my home, for whatever reason it might be, but when a child transitioned out of my home to another home, whether it was a birth parent or a biological family member, whether it's because a child may have aged out or adopted or went to another foster home, whatever it may have been, my caseworker would take perhaps 30 seconds of her time and write a very, very quick card, a thinking of you card. Dr. DeGarmo, thinking and praying for you during this time. Please let me know if I can be of any help. Sincerely, whoever it might be. Very quick note. Does not take much time at all. But to the foster parent, to myself, that was golden. Because it showed me that my caseworker cared, appreciated what I was doing, understood that I was going through some difficult time. It showed me that I was not alone in this, that I had somebody I could turn to or somebody who was supportive of me. And then, a week later, call up that foster parent and say, hey, I just want to see how you're doing. Not calling for a placement, just want to see how you are doing. Anything I can help you with. Very brief, very simple. Again, it shows the foster parent that you as a caseworker care about them. You appreciate them. You understand that this process of grief and loss when the child are moved from their home, you understand this is a difficult time for them and you're here for them. It means the world to a foster parent and it will help with retention. Tell them thank you. Often call them up and thank them for something they may have done recently. Perhaps they were able to take a child to an emergency visitation or to the doctors unexpectedly. Perhaps they had a sudden placement in their home. Perhaps they had to have another child come to their home. Perhaps they had an unexpected meeting with a birth parent that did not go pleasantly. Whatever it might have been, call them up, send them an email, send them a card, and just say thank you. Let them know that you appreciate them, and again, do it often. Foster parents need to have a pat on the back from somebody, and that somebody should be you. It helps form a healthy, positive, working relationship and helps to establish trust. When you say thank you to them, when you show you appreciate them, it allows the foster parent to feel that they can trust you, and that is important. Now, as somebody who travels across the nation, I've had the wonderful opportunity to be a keynote speaker at a number of foster parent appreciation banquets or events across the nation. These foster care appreciation events are so important for foster parents. The foster parents in their area gather together. They're provided a meal, an inspirational speaker, perhaps a gift, maybe some drawings, whatever it may be. But the caseworkers are just putting on an event and letting them know that they are appreciated. And this will help with retention. Again, it lets the foster parents come together with other foster parents and feel appreciated. So if you've not had an appreciation banquet or event in your own area, I would encourage you to come together with your own staff and begin to plan one. Begin to plan an appreciation banquet or some type of event for the foster parents in your area. Now, before we close, I want to let you know this, that I understand as a director of the Foster Care Institute that you as a caseworker are indeed overworked, overwhelmed, under-resourced, and underpaid. The job of a caseworker is a very difficult and demanding one. So I want to say thank you to what you do I appreciate what you do. You can find many more opportunities, many more resources at the Foster Care Institute at our email and Facebook. And of course, we have a great book for children in foster care that you can read to the children when they're being placed into a home, a different home, a new foster child story. And we have a number of books as well. Again, I want to thank you for what you do as a caseworker. You spend many long hours. You're away from your own family a great deal, perhaps even your own children. Late nights. So many people not necessarily happy with you. Yet again, I appreciate what you do. Thank you for taking part in this training webinar, and thank you for what you do as you help change the lives of children in need. For the Foster Care Institute, I'm Dr. John DeGarmo.